For this last type of problem, we're going to use the exchange list to calculate the number of grams of carbohydrate, protein, and fat, and calories that are included in a diet. You're going to need to use table G1 or a similar chart that shows each exchange and the number of grams of carbohydrate, fat, protein, and calories for that type of exchange, for each of the exchanges. So please take a moment to gather that material together, and then we'll look at a sample problem and how you would do it. Okay, here I've set up a grid for myself, and I'll be honest, I've done this so often that I have the formulas kind of calculated into a spreadsheet, but I can still use it to demonstrate to you how you would do it. You take your exchanges and you write down along the side which exchange, so starch, fruit, veg, etc. Okay? Then you're going to write down how many exchanges you're calculating for. In your example, for example, you are doing 6 servings of starch, 2 servings of fruit, and 2 servings of fat-free milk. In my example, I did 7 starch, 3 fruit, 4 veg, etc. But I want you to use these figures for this problem. I'm just using different figures so that I'm not doing the problem for you. Okay, so let's just use starch as an example. Look up on the exchange list chart that you have in your appendix or whichever one you're using, and you will notice that it lists how many grams of carbohydrate in one exchange, how many grams of protein in one exchange, and how many grams of fat in one exchange, and how many calories in one exchange. So what you need to do is multiply the number of exchanges times the grams of carbohydrate times the gram of protein times the grams of fat. So for example, a starch exchange has 15 grams of carbohydrate. 7 exchanges times 15 is 105. A starch exchange will have 3 grams of protein. So 7 times 3 is 21. A typical starch exchange will have 1 gram of fat, so 7 times 1 is 7. And the calories, you multiply out 7 times the number of calories. Then you go through and you do that for each one of the exchanges. Fruit, 3 times the number of grams, 45 grams of carbohydrate, 0 grams of protein, and 0 grams of fat. Veg, 4 exchanges, so 4 times 5 grams of carbohydrate, 4 times 2 grams of protein, 4 times 0 grams of fat. So on and so forth, all of the exchanges, then you total them up. Our totals are 194 grams of carbohydrate, 87 grams of protein, and 60 grams of fat. A couple of notes. One is that you'll notice on the fat content for a starch exchange that it will list a range, like 1 to 3 grams of fat. In my example, I just chose 1. This would be something where you'd have to know your client. Is your client apt to choose more higher fat choices? Is your client apt to choose more lower fat choices? A lot of times I go right in the middle and say 2 grams of fat as an average. Make sure that when you're doing your milk, you choose the right milk, fat-free, reduced fat, or whole. And the same with the meat. Choose very lean, or medium fat, or high fat. And the process is the same. Just multiply the number of exchanges times the grams of each nutrient for that exchange, and then add them up. And that's it.